think there's a lot of people who are writing and thinking about theological education or education in general as being somewhat disembodied. That it's, people will use the term like we treat ourselves like heads on sticks. There's a tendency, I think, for us to bring students into a classroom, line them up in rows, and think that the professor can, fill their heads with information. And if you get the right information in, then there'll be a good output. And the model there is a computer model, actually, that the human body is sort of considered the hardware, and all its job is to take in input where all the really important stuff happens in the software of the mind, and then the body puts it out. And in fact, it's not that that model is entirely wrong, but it's limited in some ways. And so the model that's kind of replacing that is a much more embodied model. That rather than thinking of humans as computers, we need to think about ourselves as whole embodied persons embedded in context and contextualized in various ways. If I was an elephant with a human brain, I would have a very different mind because I have a trunk, and so that changes the way I interact in the world, right? But we're seeing a lot of scientific research that's really indicating now that not only what we think impacts our feelings and our thoughts and our bodies, but also what we do with our bodies actually impacts how we feel and how we think. Not only do I think my way to new ways of behaving, but frequently I have to behave in ways that change my thinking. How do we create educational experiences that are much more embodied? How do we take the body seriously? We recognize that we're not just educating minds, we're educating whole persons, we're educating bodies. Bodies matter, the body of my neighbor matters, my body matters. So everything from, health and how we exercise and how we eat and how we rest. We can get into wonderful theological ideas around Sabbath. And then, of course, the practices. The practices become so important because they are, very clear ways in which we embody disciplines that have trajectories toward a particular telos, a particular end goal. It's not that we're getting rid of the mind. The mind's important, thoughts are important, learning's important. I use books in class. We have conversations. But even that, we can understand those sorts of things in more embodied ways, or again, we can understand them in sort of disembodied ways.